I think it is clear to believe in the power of ideas.
Fresh thinking to the Manhattan Institute.
Thank you. This is the good news of the day, which I'm going to argue we have the capacity to keep going. To understand how New York's annual homicide toll reached the bloody peak of 2,262 in 1990, listen to the ideas about crime and law enforcement embraced by many of New York's politicians and opinion leaders over the last 4 decades. Here's CUNY sociologist Andrew Hacker in 1975. A recent upsurge in crime, he said, quote, expresses a new sense of freedom on the part of classes which were once kept sternly in their place, end quote. Policing is nothing more than, quote, picking on the poor, according to Hacker. Mayor John Lindsay rejected calls for a stronger police response to the rising crime of the 1960s, seeing little difference between what he called the, quote, random terror of the criminal and the official terror of the state. Peace cannot be imposed on our cities by force of arms, he said in 1968, nor can people be converted at the point of a gun. And just last May, John Jay criminologist Andrew Carmen announced at a conference on black crime that policing was a, quote, repressive reaction, which only makes crime worse, end quote. Crime, in other words, according to this still powerful ideology, is an understandable reaction to inequality and racism, and policing, at best an ineffective, and at worst an inflammatory reaction to it. Violence and theft, the thinking goes, can only be reduced by eliminating their root causes with government social programs and redistribution of wealth. Now, remarkably, many police chiefs in New York and elsewhere accepted this declaration of their own irrelevance. Since law enforcement couldn't lower crime, they conveniently concluded, they would focus on keeping their officers away from anything that could lead to racial conflict or corruption, away, that is, from anything resembling real policing. By 1990, when homicides reached their historic high, this double excuse for both crime and police ineffectiveness had nearly brought New York City to its knees. Youth packs rampaged through parks and subways. Graffiti, aggressive panhandlers, and squeegee men defined the street culture in many parts of the city. And car owners posted pathetic little pleas to vandals not to break into their cars. The national media declared New York a disaster zone. After 4 children were gunned down in 9 days in 1990, Time magazine reported that New Yorkers were sinking to, quote, a new depth of despair. The fatal stabbing that same year of a young tourist from Utah by a group of teen subway thugs who were attacking his parents symbolized to a shocked country everything that had gone wrong with New York. But just 6 years later, homicides were down 56%, and the city's image radically transformed. The Big Apple comes roaring back, declared U.S. News and World Report. New York shows that winning the war against crime is possible, proclaimed Time magazine. In 1998, a new cable TV show portrayed New York City as a glittering mecca for beautiful, libidinous women who managed to find time for exciting careers within their complicated bedroom itineraries. Tourism in New York City rose 39% from 1991 to 97 on the city's new reputation for safety. High school students clamored to get into the city's universities, And cutting-edge restaurants opened in once forlorn drug outposts of Manhattan and Brooklyn, bringing more development in their wake. What had happened? Nothing less than the demolition of New York's reigning ideology about crime and law enforcement.